First, though, we have to say hi to Kate, who's in the studio. Welcome.
Hello, Kate.
How was the weekend, Kate?
It was good.
Crazy parties after crazy party after crazy party, no doubt.
Exactly.
You're looking the worse for wear, yeah.
Kate, what's your answer to this question? I mean, this is a big one today, right?
Yeah,
The greatest hardship you've had to overcome.
I would have to say I like very much there with Ben and even with Pete saying. I think if anyone grew up in a different country, it's really difficult. I remember going to America when I was 2, I think. And you might think it's like a young age, where you don't have to experience the hardships, but then having, learning 2 languages at the same time kind of stunts your language development because you're learning 2 languages at the same time. And so even up until 1st, 2nd grade elementary school, I still couldn't really understand fully what my teacher was communicating to me, nor was I able to communicate my thoughts properly either because it was a mix of Korean and English. And then after that, having that coming back to Korea in middle school, it's like you smack in the middle of your teenage years. You're
Yeah.
kind of yanked from one culture to another.
I mean, it's hard enough to get along in middle and high school
Yeah.
anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then, back then it was not a time where, coming from a different country was cool. You were kind of bullied and you're like, you can't even speak Korean properly.
Oh,
know,
no.
those kind of things. So
That's what I was going to say on Ben's point as well. I used to teach at a private elementary school 18 years ago, 17 years ago. And there was a little boy and his name was James. And James was Korean, but he was born in the United States.
okay.
And he was in the 3rd grade. And it broke my heart one day. He said, Steve, can I talk to you after class? Remember, this is a 3rd grade boy.
Yeah.
And I said, what can I do for you, James? And he said, to be honest, I'm having a hard time here. And I said, oh, in my class? He said, no, at school. And he said, the reason I'm talking to you is because the other teachers, they don't understand how I feel. I've tried to talk to them and they don't get it. He said, the other boys and girls, they tease me because I'm a native English speaker and my Korean isn't perfect. His Korean was pretty darn good from what I could tell.
Yeah.
But the other kids teased him apparently, and he was having a really hard time. Oh, it broke my heart. And I didn't even know what to say. Usually I try to give some good advice to adults or kids or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't know what to say. What would you say in that situation?
Yeah, it's tough. Sometimes my kids have said some hurtful things about not wanting to be English, because they feel stressed about me. Because sometimes I say that you're part English, so if you can speak English well, that would be great. And they'll be like, well, I wish I wasn't English, because then I wouldn't have that pressure. And then I want to say...
that would break your heart.
Yeah, it did. But then I wanted to say, well, normal Korean kids, they stress out going to English Hagwon as well. It's not just because of me. But that doesn't work with like a 6-year-old.
He got defensive.
Yeah, I was
It's not because I'm British.
yeah, it's not my fault. But Ben, I'm sure, not that you're laughing now, but that it's great for you to now be able to speak English, and I'm sure your Korean has improved greatly.
I think that's what I told little James, is that those kids are jealous of you because you can do something really, really, really well that they can't. And if it was baseball, they'd hate you for that. And if it was soccer, they'd be mad at you for that too.
Yeah.
So I just said, forget about it. If you can, it'll go away someday. Prow said, relationship, tough, huh? It can wreck your life. Can't it?
Yeah.
The end of a relationship, but that helped Prow overcome a certain hardship and find a certain new identity in herself as a person and a new strength too, right?
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
think that's the best thing about going through relationships. I think it's more about you find out more of yourself than about something else. Like you kind of come out thinking, wow, I realize I'm more of this person. I'm not compatible with that person. Or I like this, I don't like that in a relationship. And I think, yeah, I mean, it hurts, obviously. It's not a fun experience to go through a breakup, but on the other side, you come out stronger.
You need that time and perspective, though, to realize that, right?
Sure, straight away, it doesn't feel great.
No, it feels like the end of the world. 1 bucket of ice cream and 1 spoon, please. Bo said living overseas. This is really interesting, too. Bo said living overseas for so long, now she doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere. Even she's from Thailand, but when she goes back to Thailand, she's been away for so long that she doesn't feel like she's from there either.
Yeah, Didn't you say that, Steve, kind of in a similar way now? You've been in Korea for so long, you haven't been in Canada for so long that neither are quite home, but both are, maybe.
Canada will always be my home. I learned from a very young age that my father taught me that lesson. Never, ever, ever forget where you came from because my hometown is 900 people. So we moved out of there when I was in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Right? And then one day we drove back through the town and I was sitting next to my dad in the car and I said, "Oh, I'm so happy we don't live here anymore." And my father never hit me when I was a kid, not once.
Yeah.
But I got a smack in the back of my head.
Oh, my goodness.
And he said, "You never, ever forget where you came from."
Oh, wow. What a lesson.
That was the last time I said that.
Yes. Go Tatamagouche.
So I do have 2 homes in my heart. One of them is Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia, and the other one currently Gimpo area.
Lovely.
Absolutely. All right, we've been really chatty here. Let's see what you think about this. 8342 says, "I really could not get up in the morning, but my first workplace is 2 hours from my house. The hardship for me, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning."
Oh, I
That's
can
tough.
imagine. Even getting out of bed in the morning at a later hour is difficult.
Yeah, especially if you're not a morning person. Goodness.
Yeah, I don't think 6 is any easier than 5 or 7 is any easier than 6. It's like when you wake up, you just don't want to get up.
They're all tough.
Next one, Pete.
3016. There was an online university meeting in the past. I was introducing myself, but I was nervous and my voice was hoarse. It's difficult to introduce yourself in public for me. Yeah, for many of us, I think. Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you ever had that experience where you had to, it was like your first time meeting people and then you get nervous, you get dry mouth, and then your lips get stuck to your gums or, something weird always happens in that moment.
Some sort of odd physiological response to your nervousness.
Oh, why does that have to happen at that moment?
Exactly.
7891 says, 코로나19로 인해 올해 결혼 준비하느라 힘들었는데 지금 보니 하길 잘한 것 같아요. They said that because of COVID, it was really difficult to prepare for their wedding this year. But now that they're done and over with, they're so happy that they went through with it.
It put a wrench into a lot of people's marriage plans, I think,
my
right?
goodness me.
COVID. 1015 says, "I think the most difficult thing to overcome is losing weight. Before the pandemic, I lost more than 10 kilograms by working out and taking diet meals, but it's almost back, my heavy weight, after COVID. A diet is a never-ending thing in your whole life. How I wish there was a pill to lose weight easily. Haha, I guess a lot of women agree with what I said."
Oh, of course.
And men.
Men too. Yeah.
Yeah, that too, right?
Me, please.
Thank you for the message. Hisuk, Pete, what does Hisuk say?
I think studying English was very hard since I'm self-taught
Yeah.
as
Wow.
well. Yeah, if you don't move away, I think kudos to you. That's amazing.
Absolutely. And not only just, how hard it is to learn a second language, but the time and energy that is required. But not only that, when you're self-taught, it's a ton of discipline too, right?
Absolutely.
Discipline, yeah.
To sit down and make sure you're putting in the work to learn the language. Well done to you, Hisuk. All right, we're going to have to take a break here. Like I said, we were a little bit chatty. You have sent in so many messages for us to read today, and we will get to those later on in the program. That's our question.